Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. We are officially kicking off the nailz holiday series. We're going to be doing this simple fall/winter look with polygel. Sweater nails are perfect for fall or winter and definitely for the holidays, so let's jump right into it. As always, all products will be in the description, and be sure to check out my page for more polygel ideas and press-on nail ideas. So I'm gonna try to use the fake finger for the first time today. So I'm just grabbing some full cover tips. These are the square tips from Nails by Deb. I use these for press-on sometimes as well. So I'm just making sure it fits sidewall to sidewall. And then we're gonna keep the length for the most part, but I'm just filing the edge a little bit because there's usually a little bit of plastic that usually hangs off with full cover tips. So I just wanted to make sure I got rid of that. So we're just squaring off the edge, but we're really not taking off any length. Now I'm gonna remove the shine. This is the e-file I use. It's the Melody Susie e-file. It's available on Amazon. It's super affordable and it works great. I've had it for a couple years now, so highly recommend it. And I'm using my trusty 240 Pana fine grit sanding bands just to remove the shine. So we're not removing too much of the tip. We're really just removing the shine so that there's an anchor for the polygel to adhere better to. Now we're taking a manicure brush and some rubbing alcohol, and I'm brushing off the dust on both the finger and the nail. There's a lot of dust everywhere. These are the lint-free wipes I use as well. These are also really great for removing dust, and they're pink, which looks really nice. So I'm just using that to make sure all of the dust is gone before we go in with our base gel. So base coat is super important for polygel. I've been using the Madam Glam Gel base coat for a while. I'm almost done with this bottle. We'll see if I continue to use it after this, or I might try something new. So we're just doing a thin layer and making sure we get it all the way up to the cuticle area as well. And then we're gonna fully cure that in our lamp. And if you'd like, you can do 2 coats. Lately I've just been doing 1 and it works fine. I think as long as you have a nice even layer and full coverage, you should be okay. So let's move on to application and get our slip solution ready. I'm using 70% isopropyl alcohol, and I like to put it in this little dappen dish. I will have the link for this as well below. I've been liking using actually a smaller dappen dish lately, so this works well. And I'm gonna be using Macart Puce, which is like a really nice brown tannish color, which is really great for fall. So I just like to squeeze it directly onto the nail, and I like to start towards the lower half. Just draining the liquid out of my brush. We don't want to flood the nail too much, so I just wanted to kind of show here in a little bit of detail. You can drain it on the dappen dish or you can drain it on the napkin. And here's a little bit more on what to do and not to do with your brush. So if the liquid is kind of dripping off the brush like I'm showing here, that's a no-go. That's not going to work well with the polygel, and it's just going to flood the nail and disintegrate the product. So draining it on the side of your dish or your paper towel is gonna help a lot, get the excess liquid out. On the other hand, if you drain all of the liquid out like I'm doing here, you know, we're pretty much draining all of that liquid out. It's too dry. You can see the bristles are kind of coming apart. That's not really helpful either. So you kind of want something in between. You wanna drain out most of the liquid, but you wanna keep enough that your brush has sufficient liquid to help mold the product without flooding the nail. So I like to go for something like this, and this is what's worked for me so far. So once we have slip solution on our brush, we're gonna start with using the body of our brush to kind of pat down the polygel. And once I've kind of patted it down to my liking, this is when I start to pull and drag. So I try to make sure the polygel is pretty much fitting to the shape of the nail. So I'm trying to make sure I really focus on those side walls and not have excess product going over the sides. That is what makes your nail bulky. And I have put a little bit too much polygel. That's okay, just scoop it off. You can use it again or just put it on your paper towel, no big deal. And I'm just going back with a lighter touch and trying to smooth it out. This is what really helps when it comes to shaping, but it just takes time to get down. So just try to use pre-shaped tips, helps a lot, and just fit your polygel to that the best that you can. I fully cure that before I go in with my cuticle bead. And I would say for the cuticle area, you probably need even less slip solution because you don't want to flood this area as well. So I'm just using the edges of my brush to tuck it into that area. That's why placing the product right below the cuticle helps versus on top of the cuticle. You just work the product towards the cuticle area and tuck it into there. It really helps to make sure that there's not too much product in that area. Once it's to your liking, you can go ahead and drag and pull that down as well. Also, I like the practice finger because it allows me to do like more practice sets and film content more quickly, but I was struggling to get my application as nicely as I would like it, so that's okay. I'm gonna try to figure that out, but maybe I just need a full practice hand, so we'll see. And I just added one more bead kind of towards the middle, and we're just doing a thin full layer over the entire nail once more because there were some sparse areas, especially towards the middle and free edge. So I want to make sure my application is as even as possible. So just tuck it into the cuticle area, but don't try to add too much bulk there. The point of this bead was really to kind of fill out those uneven and areas that were low in polygel towards the middle and the free edge. So that's kind of what I'm focusing on here. I'm just dragging it down. Again, trying to make sure that the product isn't overflowing on the side walls. And then once you get to the end, you can basically drag off any excess product. So once that's fully cured and I remove the sticky layer with some rubbing alcohol young nail swipe, I'm just taking an 80/80 grit hand file and I'm running it over the surface of the nail. The way that I'm shaping here is probably a little bit more of a condensed version of what I would do if I was doing the shaping on my hands. Obviously we're using a practice finger, so I'll link some of my polygel tutorials up above if you want to see more in-depth shaping, but at the same time what I'm showing here is the general concept. I love using a hand file to get rid of any bumps or uneven areas. It just gives kind of a really nice finish. But the 80/80 grit hand files are pretty coarse, so just be a little bit careful, and a little bit of pressure goes a long way. And you can use your hand file under the sidewalls if there's any excess product. Didn't really show that here because that wasn't really an issue, but you can definitely do that. And then of course you can use it to kind of square off the free edge to make it more square. Then I'm taking that same fine grit sanding band and I'm running it along the surface as well as under the nail, just to make sure we have a nice clean free edge, and then you can kind of thin out the free edge and make a more defined C curve as well if you'd like. And as I always say, the hand filing and e-file routine is always a back and forth for me. So I just like to shape, see where things are at. So I'm just going over the free edge one more time here before I take my manicure brush and get rid of all that dust. Now I'm going to do a matte top coat over the entire surface of the nail. I've talked about this in other videos, and it's just a part of my routine now, either using a matte top coat or a shiny top coat before I start nail art. I feel like it does create a nice smooth surface that helps your nail art turn out a lot more crisp and better versus just doing it on the surface without any top coat. So just doing a full layer here, and then we're gonna fully cure that and wipe off the tacky layer to reveal the matte finish. So here are the two colors we're using. I wanted to use like a dark brown and then a little bit of a lighter color that still gave like fall vibes going into the holidays. So I'm gonna use that brown color first, and I always like to use my nail art palette and put a little bit of product on there. So I have these nail art palettes linked on my Amazon storefront if you're looking for something affordable, but still works really well. So we're gonna draw a line down the center of the nail, and don't worry if it's not perfectly straight because we're gonna go back and fill that in with more color. Go ahead and fill in the left side with that brown color. You can use your liner brush around the cuticle area. This is really helpful when you're working in really tight and small areas. You can use your liner brush to just kind of help get that gel polish in there as evenly as possible. And once you've kind of filled that out and you feel comfortable, you can actually take just the brush from your gel polish bottle and fill in the rest like I'm doing here. Once that first layer is cured, you can also go back with the second layer and just clean up that line in the middle. And I did do a matte top coat and then wipe off the sticky-layer once cured as well. And so for the sweater nails, you're just gonna take the same gel polish and start drawing 2 lines side by side going down the entire nail. Make sure you use enough product so later when we add our acrylic powder, the design shows up. So I'm trying to make these a little bit thicker. And now we just connect with the diagonal line, pretty simple. So just break down that pattern step by step and follow along. Our accent here with a dotting tool, and then we're gonna go ahead and draw a line down the center. Anything you'd like to show up as part of the pattern, this is where you can go ahead and add that in. Do not cure. Go ahead and take some clear acrylic powder. This is actually dip powder, so that works fine. Shake off the excess, fully cure in your lamp. Once it's fully cured, you can take your manicure brush and get rid of any remaining acrylic powder or dip powder. You can use either. Now we're doing a half French tip with that lighter color, so just drawing half the smile line. Pretty simple. And then we're gonna go ahead and fill that in. And if you mess up, no worry, I'm using my Acamore cleanup brush. I love this brush, it's from Amazon. Just to clean up that line before I go back and apply a matte top coat. I wanted to do a matte look for this nail. Apply a nice even layer, remove the sticky layer once it's fully cured. And I'm just gonna go back and do a little bit of filing to clean up and bring back that shape since we've used so much gel polish. This is just like a really nice hack to make your nail look a little bit more cleaned up at the end. And then you can dust it off one more time. And here is the final look. Super cute polygel nail idea that you can do for fall or the holidays. I love sweater nails, they're super fun to do. You can do any design. Here's another look and kind of the blue light. All products will be in the description. As always, I will be doing more holiday tutorials, so please stay tuned. And I have a lot more polygel and press-on nail ideas on my page and my other socials as well. Thank you for watching.